Good morning and welcome to Retail Corner Podcast. I'm here with Carl Turner. He is uh, expert in the field of AI, I would like to say. So, Carl, when you look at your LinkedIn, you see Dubai, you see Shanghai, you see Hamburg, you see Miami. Where are we today? Where are we living today?
In Miami, in good old warm Miami.
Perfect, perfect. And so, those of us that don't know you personally, or everything else like that, when I say expert in AI, what does that mean? When you come to us, can you kind of give us a little bit of background on yourself?
Yeah, I mean, expert in AI. I'm not sure if I would really, even say that strong. But so a little bit of background, right? So I've been the founder and CEO of SWIPEBY, and I would say that's where my closest to expertise in AI comes from. And SWIPEBY is a company, which we started back in the day to really help with curbside pickup, help with click and collect, use geolocation. But as the time has come by, we figured out, there is a lot of data we harness with being a platform for curbside pickup. And in the world of AI, data is really what makes AI good or bad, right? This is what the conversations we heard. So we have spent now the last year and a half to figure out how can we use the data that we have together with artificial intelligence to add more value to our customers. So I would say I'm a little expert in applied AI for retailers and restaurants. But I know how to apply it. We know how to work with it. I'm not necessarily the whiz who builds a model, right?
Absolutely. The true experts never call themselves experts, which is comforting to me. And so, it's good stuff. And so, when we're talking about AI, and you're talking about like the amount of data that's
Mhm.
collected, like what what's the piece there? What are we collecting?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think, right, if you think about, I mean, artificial intelligence, right, in the end, and this has been a big thing, um, it's a computer that creates something new, right? Like that's kind of when you high level, super simply think about it. And for it to be really powerful, when we look at ChatGPT and so on, and Bard and Claude and whatnot, all these all tools have been trained on the entire internet, and they can create, write me a 50 cent song and redo it for my wedding or something like that, right? And it
Yeah.
will spit it out in seconds. But the thing is, AI becomes, for business, if you think about it, or even for yourself, it becomes stronger and stronger for yourself, the more, or for the business, the more it has the actual data of the business, right? And that can be transactional data, inventory data, right? If we look at retail, customer data, tokenized and safe, right? But as I say, let's say customer behavior data, right? What are people purchasing? What are people doing? And so, again, because what these models are doing, they're just taking data to then predict what is next, right? To,
Right.
again, super high level think about it. The more they have, the better they can predict, right? And so what we are
Right.
doing is we're trying to give models that we actually don't build ourselves. So we are not a competitor to OpenAI, or we're not a competitor to IBM Watson or to Google, but we work with their technologies together with the data that we have, together with a product flow, right? That's the other thing. Like data is one thing, but then AI can do something with the data, but what action does that trigger? So we're really trying to bring together the world of email sending, the world of customer interaction, the world of
Yeah.
answering the phone, the world of your Google reviews, and so on, and bring
Oh
it
wow.
together
Okay.
with AI and your data to help a business, right? And I think that's how data comes into play.
There's so much data within brick and mortar, within the delivery
Mhm.
space that we're working with. Something we've been working with for years now, but it's kind of coming back into favor with AI is geofencing. Are you guys? Yeah. How are you applying that?
Yeah, so that's really interesting, right? So that's what SwipeEye started out. That's where the name actually comes from back in the day, right? So the idea was really, if you are a retailer, a brick and mortar, a business, and you want to compete with the hyper convenience of delivery or with the drive-throughs of the world, right? Which is
Like we all do.
primarily restaurants. How can you do that? And our concept was we use geolocation data of the customer, real-time data, to facilitate a fully autonomous curbside experience, click and connect experience, meaning, you are ordering something, you are driving to the location where you want to pick it up, On the way, the location is updated where you are. The moment you get there, they know that you arrived. You know that they arrived, right? So that's very important.
Right.
It's, you want to, as a customer, want to know what's happening. And so, that is something that we have doing kind of outside of AI, right? So that is example what we would consider as one of our data feeds, right? So one of them is curbside data. What is unique about curbside data is that you know where customers are kind of coming from, and what are the tangents, what are the travel routes to you. Other data,
Ooh.
which would be interesting here, is but delivery data is the same, right? With delivery data, you obviously know where you are, but you know where it needs to go. And so now one of the things, which was really interesting about what AI can do here, and one of the things we're working on, this hasn't been released, but we're working on, well, digital billboards. They're everywhere, right?
Sure.
Direct mail is a really great tool to put people to your store if you're brick and mortar. But you can now use AI to, in real time, look at your curbside data, for example, look at your delivery data to understand at what time are your customers moving, driving, ordering to from. You can use AI to analyze travel routes, which normally you would need a full business analytics team to do, right? Analyze what highway goes in what direction, what is a one way, what is not a one way. And then you can use AI, not really of that curbside data, of delivery data, but for example, of that menu data that you have, of that inventory data, of your store presence data to
Oh, wow.
design a full digital billboard. And now, in real time, you can, with the data, right? And this is where the unique data comes in. Like, for example, curbside data, there is this billboard showing up at the perfect time when exactly your customers will drive by. You will find new customers, and you didn't need a business analytics team. In theory, you didn't really need a designer. You didn't need, a lot of marketing strategy to figure out when will you put that up, because the crunching happened in real time of these data points. But that takes us back to the original point, right? It's really important to have the data points, because just putting in ChatGTP, built me a billboard for my customer,
Right.
it will do something, but it will not be really relevant.
So you're opening the floodgate. There is so much data involved. I mean, you're talking about driving routes. You're talking about customer experiences and customer history, times of day, everything else. If you had to prioritize,
Mhm.
which piece of data would you start with?
Yeah. So I think the most relevant data, right, which is the unique one, is what we consider the e-commerce data. And that's because we are, at core, a e-commerce platform. And that e-commerce data would be inventory, customer behavior, meaning what is purchased by kind of what type of customer is it purchased. The curbside data would fill into that, right? Where are people buying from, where they're coming, delivery data. So, but it's really the core data that is unique to a business, right? Because having that data readily available and in real time is the challenge for most businesses, because they might don't record it. It's recorded in some legacy POS. So I would say that is the biggest anchor. And then connecting this with public data, right? So
Right.
connecting this with your reviews, connecting this with Google Maps to get driving information, connecting this with a company that powers, there's a company called EdQuick that does digital billboards and so on, right? So connecting now that with APIs to get data from other worlds, that is, I think, how you create the most impact, right? But the Google Maps data, that's all public data. So I would say that's not really the important
Yeah.
part. The important part is having your own data in real time about your business, about your customers, right? And that is the starting point.
That makes sense. And so, like when we talk about AI, we talk about this just the flood of data that's going
Hmm.
on. As you go up the chain of command,
Hmm.
AI sometimes gets lost. People who use it every day and people who rely on it, we understand it. But
Hmm.
as you move up that chain, sometimes there's a little bit of hesitation.
Yeah,
How and as you move up the chain, if you don't see the bottom line move,
yeah,
if all of this doesn't have an ROI, then it gets lost even further.
yeah,
And so, how do you overcome that? How do you overcome the
yeah,
communication up the chain and showing that it actually works when it
yeah.
comes to the bottom line?
I mean, I think, right. So there is, which is, I mean, I think there's two big things here, right? So one thing, which is true, if you're a bigger organization, um, obviously how you work with your data, right? I mean, bigger organization meaning going up the chain, customer size, right? Or people who are handle that stuff, is it is a it is a valid concern, right? Like if
Right.
you are the I don't know, a Walmart or McDonald's, do you want to really pass, even if it's tokenized, even if it's fully anonymized, right, and so on? Do you want to pass data to a OpenAI, right, Microsoft,
Sure.
Google, and Amazon, right? That's somewhat potentially competitor even to you. And so, I mean, in the end, I think it will happen, but it's certainly a concern, right? And I think the other concern is where we are today with AI, right? If we go back to this billboard example, AI is probably right now not there to make this billboard actually as good as the business analytics unit, the marketing designers, the planners, and so on that a Walmart would have to place that billboard, right? And so,
Sure.
what our really strategy is that AI right now is a democratizer. So, the little grocery store, the little convenience store, which is next to the Walmart, which never even considered thinking about a billboard because they would need to hire on retainer a business analytics team,
Sure.
$3,000. They would need to hire a marketing agency, another $3,000 a month minimum, right? Retainer, and so on. So for them to get that billboard up is massive work, right? But using their data and AI, it democratizes this for, I mean, setup cost, I don't know, $50, $100, right? Compared to
Yeah.
9,000. And then obviously you have the just placing the billboard, or if you do direct mail, printing direct mail, or if you send emails or do text messages, right? The actual cost of consumption. And so how we are thinking about it is just we really see AI as a democratizer. And that's why we are focusing on SMB, mid-market, right? Like the groups where AI right now can unlock something that they could never afford, right? Or
Right.
we never really had the time to even think about and put the moving pieces together. If you look more up the chain, right, and look at bigger companies or companies with sophisticated org structures, right, where you have more decision makers, I mean, I think they're all moving to AI too, because for there it comes more on a savings, right? If we go to SMB, mid market, we are saying AI for $100 can do something that normally will cost you thousands and thousands, and it will add that value to your top line and your bottom line. To the big guys, it's really more, well, it will add to your bottom line, it will add to your top line, but primarily it will subtract cost from your bottom line, right? But that
Right.
is a bigger structural change. And so I don't think there is no big company today that is not looking where to use AI. There's probably no large team that is not using AI already in, day-to-day tasks, having it run over emails, having it analyze presentations if you are mid-market to higher manager. But I think
Right.
implementing it tightly in your operations, the advantage is if you are a small business, you don't have operations. I mean, I'm sorry, right? But you don't. Like, you don't have
Right.
data that is tracked. You don't have really, you might use MailChimp, but you don't have an advanced marketing flow. So for us to put AI into your ops is pretty easy because we're building it from the ground up. Whereas with big organizations, it's way more working with moving pieces. And I think, frankly said, for us, it's not really our focus. All right. So to your question, the big opportunity, I think, is in democratizing right now. And the big guys higher up the chain, they're working on it too. They're working on it in their own way, but it's not really where we are coming in right now.
I love that you're giving the little guy a fighting chance. I dig that. So
Yeah, well, hopefully, right? I think it will make a little bit in impact in the end, just on that, right, with all technologies, right, it gives a fighting chance right now, but then obviously
yeah,
we'll see what happens when big guys are catching up to it more, right, if we use that example. But I think in generally it will be democratizing, right? It will give people more access to resources that before they didn't have.
that sounds perfect. That sounds perfect. I like the community view of it all. And so,
Yeah.
like, the way that you put things together in your mind, the way that you're approaching this, it speaks to the fact that you didn't get here alone. I don't think anybody got here alone. And
Mhm.
so, did you have any mentors coming up? Did you have what was there an importance of mentorship within your life?
Yeah, definitely, right. I mean, definitely. I think, I mean, it for everyone it's different. For me, it starts with, I guess, family, right? So just super personally, like my family has been entrepreneurs in parts, have been business people in parts. So it's kind of like, what I heard at dinner tables as a child was business talk, not about AI, I guess, right? Or I missed it.
That would have been
I
weird.
don't think it would be weird. I don't think so. But so, I think, if we like from an entrepreneurial journey, right? I think when it comes to mentors, what is the challenge you always have as an entrepreneur is you have your team. You can't bother your team with your general problems, right? You are the hype man. You're the cheerleader, right? Your team is everything is always great because you got to keep them excited. Your peers, your friends are you know there, or you don't want to bother them with work, right? And I think that's not even an
Yeah.
entrepreneur, but that's anyone who's work, right? And so I think where mentors really come in, and these have been important for me, has been the people you can really openly talk about everything and have a sounding board. But so no, I haven't got here alone. I have had mentors. I had mentors in family. I have been in like incubators or accelerators where I got mentors. But I think what is really important, I actively ask for mentors, right? So for me, a mentor is someone who I can call, who I can send an email to, who I can jump on, meet for coffee, and frankly said, talk about all the, excuse my French, shit that is going on in my business life, maybe sometimes in my personal life related to the business life, and they can give a perspective. And I think is really important that you have these, especially as an
Yeah.
entrepreneur, but probably in general, right? Some people would call them maybe coach too, if you're more in the manager world. Because it's the only people you can really talk to, right? Like, and I would say the pure luxury that I had, which is though not granted, is if it's family, it's a mentor you can call 24/7, right? Like
Sure.
if you call your parents, right, or your spouse, or hey, your kids could be mentors. I'm a little young for that, right? But
They are.
right,
I can
but
guarantee you my kids are
right.
my mentors.
But if it's family, I think the beautiful was that, and again, it's my perspective, right? My world, and I know it's very fortunate and very blessed. Is these are mentors I can call 24/7. It can be 3 a.m., 2 a.m. They will pick up, and likely they will still love me, the next day, even though I bother them.
Sure.
And that's a huge advantage that I had and helped me to get here.
Awesome. Awesome. So hey, we're running a little long on time. So
Yeah.
something I like to ask everybody that we talk with: is there a single piece of advice, somebody embarking on this journey, right at square one? What advice do you wish you had?
Yeah. So you talk about the entrepreneurial journey right now, or what
Sure.
journey, or is it if you're a business and a retailer? Like I guess it would be a little different, but
Let's. I would think entrepreneurial because I mean, at
okay.
the end of the day, we're all entrepreneurs.
We're entrepreneurs. Yeah. I would say one of piece of advice that I got, and I think it worked with me, is tell everyone what you want to do, right? Because the more people you tell, it creates accountability, it creates network, it creates resources, right? So if you have your idea and you don't tell anyone, the idea is only as strong as you. If you tell
Right.
200 people, well, they will ask, how is it going? This will drive motivation, right? We might be like everyone, we want to hire self-starters, we want to hire self-starters. Well, it helps to be a self-starter if other people start you, right? Talk to you. So if I
Yeah.
have an idea, I talk to as much as people. If we have a vision in our team, in our company, we talk to the team. Guess what? Every morning in Slack, I will be like, what's with this feature that you talked about? Is it coming? It will help me in my job, right? And so again, talking a lot here, I think the advice would be, if you have an idea, if you want to start something, hey, if you are brick and mortar and you want to turn to AI, if you want to start your business, if you want to switch careers, talk to as much as people, because they will hold you accountable. They might know someone who can help. They might know a shortcut, not really, but someone who can open a door. They might know a resource. They might have advice. So yeah, any idea, anything you want to progress, I would say start a business, be an entrepreneur, talk to everyone about it, because it only can help you get forward.
I like that because I believe I believe other people want to see other people like exceed in their life,
Yeah.
and so and not just succeed but exceed, and so yeah, that's perfect. I appreciate you.
Yeah.
That's absolutely perfect advice, is to tell everybody. And so yeah, I'm gonna tell you, next time you're having a family dinner where you're talking about entrepreneurial, I'm free, I'm sure.
All right.
Awesome. And so we're reaching our time limit here. And so
Yeah.
thank you, sir. Thank you very much. This is Carl. He's with a SWIPEBY. We'll have all the links that are necessary below if you want to reach out to him as a mentor or even a business partner. So thank you very much again, sir.
Yeah. Thank you. And definitely reach out. Always love to chat, hear things, right? This was me talking about what we're doing in a way, following hopefully my own advice. So, hold me accountable and ask questions, and love to chat about this topic or other topics.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Thanks again.
Thank you.
If you would like to be featured on our podcast, please email us at podcast@retailcorner.live or visit our website, retailcorner.live. Looking forward to having you as our guest on our podcast, and thank you so much for listening.